Hi everyone, welcome to or back to my channel. Hey, I'm Ellen if you're new here, and welcome to another episode of Sunday Style Sunday. Basically, Sundays are the days we talk about all things fashion. So today we are going to be looking at 4 of my favourite 2024 runway shows. Obviously they were 2025 season, but they were 2024 runway shows, and how I think that these shows are going to impact the trends of 2025. I haven't really planned this video very much. I know my 4 favourite shows very well, I feel. So I feel like equipped to talk about them. But I feel like it's gonna be like a rambly, chatty one. If you're new here, that's kind of my style. It's basically like a brain dump all over you guys and then we can discuss. But if you are new here and you are enjoying the video throughout, please do remember to subscribe, stay along for the journey. I upload Sunday style videos every Sunday, then wrap up Wednesdays where I do a weekly vlog and we catch up on my life, what's going on in it, and chat about that every Wednesday. So that is the content you can expect from this channel, and today is a fashion video. So I say I haven't done anything, I have made some little notes, so I stay ever so slightly on track throughout this video, and basically I like to have this here in case I forget anything that I want to say, and I can just quickly Google a name or a place and that sort of thing, because otherwise I feel like I misspeak and I don't want that. So I couldn't make this video without starting with my favourite show of 2024, the artisanal Maison Margiela collection, Spring Summer 24, the haute couture collection. The show was called Artisanal. They showed it in Paris. I don't know if it was off schedule or if it was during Fashion Week. I can't remember. Galliano created, I think he created Artisanal. I think he's been doing it ever since he's been at Margiela. So the whole 10 year he's been there. He started at Margiela in 2014 and has been showing Artisanal once a year as haute couture every year ever since, basically. So this show is always exciting and coveted and an exciting part of the fashion season. And this year it was really special. The collections always play on the themes of upcycling, deconstruction, sustainability, with these beautiful artisanal conceptual designs that have this amazing take on storytelling that we see through a lot of John Galliano's collections. Although the man might not be great, god damn is he an exceptional designer. His work is some of my absolute favourite, and this collection is no exception. I'd like to also point out in this collection as well how beautifully done the makeup was. If you remember that sort of true glass skin that we saw a lot of people trying to recreate on TikTok throughout the summer, it was done by Pat McGrath, and she basically spoke about how she did it a little bit after the show, and she created it with this layer that she then ended up selling as part of her range as well. It's just absolutely stunning. Really plays on these ideas of androgyny, and I think there was lots of hints towards the working class. It was all sort of set in a factory, and the clothes were just these beautiful deconstructed pieces that were kind of playful and elegant, made of these everyday materials that really just transformed once they were put into these beautiful silhouettes. And I can't speak highly enough of it. I absolutely love this show. I thought the music was great, the makeup, the model, the casting for the models was just exceptional. The key silhouettes we saw were very dramatic, bold, structured silhouettes, dramatic accessories, and then the gender fluidity that Galliano always plays with his Margiela collections. The show was very theatrical, over the top, with a real sort of distinct attention to craftsmanship. And one thing I loved about the whole show is the whole thing was made from recycled materials, which is a big part of what Galliano does at Margiela. It was something that the brand and the house have always been very passionate about. And yeah, Loved it, can't speak highly enough of it. I hope I've been playing it or showing some clips as we've been going along so that you can see it too. And how do I think this show is going to impact fashion trends? The big thing that this is going to inspire is sort of the imperfectly perfect, like things being perfect even though they're imperfect. I don't know how best to word that, but these sort of little details that we're going to see throughout fashion that won't be as perfectly put together as we have seen in previous years. We might see little tears in things. We might see stitching where people have put things back together that have fallen apart because they wanted to keep that item because they loved it and they've just stitched it up themselves or put it back together in a way that's a little bit creative and inventive. And I think we'll see a real push in people wanting to continue wearing clothes they love and getting the longevity out of their clothes that is inspired by the craftsmanship of shows like this Margiela show, and just using what you already have and creating something beautiful out of the imperfections within that piece. I really, really want to see more of this within fashion. I think that we've got to such like a throwaway culture with our clothes, and we just don't need to be like that anymore. Everybody's starting to understand more and more the impact that fast fashion has on our planet, on our climate, and people are being so much more conscious of that, and we just love to see it. And I think shows like this will inspire a way of repairing, amending, deconstructing and putting your clothes back together that we maybe haven't seen so much in recent years, but it's something that our parents were very, very used to doing. I also think we're going to see a real mix in like oversized and androgynous clothing and styling and ways of dressing. I think that people will be more interested in the shapes and silhouettes of their products than they are of the actual fit of them. Although these clothes sort of fit beautifully throughout this show, the true sort of magic that they captured was these like outlandish silhouettes. And I think we'll see a move back into people sourcing more true vintage items because the silhouettes were so much more impactful. And I said sort of oversized. I don't mean oversized in a Matilda Jerf blazer way. I mean oversized in terms of like the drama and the silhouette within a piece that is so much more exciting than maybe something that just fits you perfectly. So I'll just keep that one there. The next one I want to talk about is Miu Miu. And if you've been around here, you knew I was going to talk about Miu Miu. It is one of my favorite fashion houses. It has been for years and years. I've been a Miu Miu girl before Miu Miu started printing Miu Miu on everything. I'm not saying that to be like, I'm better because I know about it for longer. I just genuinely think the brand is exceptional and I love what they're doing. I think Prada's a really fun brand, but Miu Miu is just like, it's cooler, raunchier, more interesting baby sister, and I'm so here for it. Talk about Miu Miu SS25. I've talked about this show so much again in my content. I feel like I know it inside out now. This whole show was set in a like newspaper factory. So they had like newspapers like running across, like they were on like the factory line running across the ceiling, and you almost had that like clicker clacker of like a workshop in the background of the whole show, which I thought was so creative and fun. And this show really took us back to these sort of like original days of Miu Miu. I feel like Miu Miu's really found its feet now in terms of being a very, very hot brand at the moment, and people are loving wearing it. They're loving the like little Miu Miu printed bits on stuff, and they still kept that within this show, but they went back to like a lot of their like, before this, they did a lot of like weird layering, weird styling, like bikini bottoms with like an oversized jumper, stuff that made you stop and go, why have you put those together? And they brought that back with this show, and it was so, so cool. They also had, oh my God, I've forgotten his name, the guy from Poor Things. I'll flash him up on the screen now. I could just go look for his name. I'm sitting on my laptop, but I really fancy him as well. What's his name? William Dafoe. They had William Dafoe walk the end of the runway, and it was so like in this oversized coat. So cool. Just such a cool show. And the trends that I think are going to come out of this show is that like thoughtful layering that I think we're going to see a lot more of. I think where people are going to be shopping less, consuming less, they're going to be re-wearing their clothes in different ways. And I think the ways we're going to see that come into play is layering. So what I found really interesting with my wardrobe recently, where I've been trying to shop less, is layering different pieces on top of each other that I've maybe worn a million times but haven't necessarily worn like in that way. So like having my like big collared shirts or my little roll necks with like a roll neck, a collared shirt, then a cardigan, like putting everything I love together, smush, 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 but in a really thoughtful and like considered way. And I think we're going to see like a lot more of this, people playing with like textures and patterns and like throwing things together that maybe they haven't thought of before, and really playing with their like individuality. I feel like this show is like a real nod to self-expression and like individuality within style, and I think that's a lot of what we're going to see in 2025 is people trying to find their personal style again, because I feel like we're a little bit lost with all of us looking like little versions of each other, and there's like a real dearth of personal style that we've seen over the past few years. And I think shows like this are going to be like people's opportunity to look at something and be like, I would never style that way, I'm not going to copy that direct look, but I'm going to play with something within that and bring it into my wardrobe. And I think layering is the big thing we're going to get out of that. I'm actually only going to talk about 3 shows because I feel like this video is getting very long. The next show I want to talk about is Loewe Spring Summer 2025. I think Jonathan Anderson is a absolute genius, and he actually seems like a very nice guy as well, which gives him utmost brownie points. And what he's done at Loewe has just been phenomenal. He's taken like a little bit of like a stuffy leather brand with obviously iconic heritage roots and made it for like the cool everyday fashionista. I absolutely love everything he's done there. And I think this show is like absolutely no exception. I think this is going to influence trends in a lot of similar ways to both the Miu Miu and the Margiela show in terms of like deconstructed silhouettes. So a big thing I loved about this show was the way all of the dresses and coats and skirts were formed. So I'll try and flash some pictures, but everything had this almost like puff out, turn up look to it, which is just so fun and innovative and like fresh. I feel like we haven't seen this like this poof look in this exact way before, and I find it so interesting. I definitely think it's something we're going to see more of in terms of like these exaggerated silhouettes I was speaking about in reference to the Margiela show, and I think this is more showing them like on the bottom half. And I spoke about in my 2025 trend prediction video that I think we're going to see a lot more of people dressing like girls dressing for the girls and the gays, basically, like a lot more decentering of the male gaze within fashion. And I think this sits within that as well, that like when you put on like a puffy dress in that way, like it's not for the guys, it's for the girls and the gays for sure. And I just love that. It's really like decentering what we are told we should be wearing and putting it more towards like the fashion, the art within fashion. Like just, oh, I love that. I also loved that everything was like a little bit undone, showing sort of like a reality behind the clothes. So like the coats came out and the belts were like hanging down rather than being done up. The t-shirts looked like unironed and like a little bit crumpled. And I feel like it's bringing that like reality back into the space that everybody's craving so much. Whereas the Margiela show was very like a caricature, very like theatrical. This almost felt like you'd wandered into that cool it girl's bedroom. This very like amalgamation, I would say, between the Margiela and the Miu Miu show really came into play in this like Loewe very like Jonathan Anderson way. I absolutely loved it. I also think that there are elements of sustainability that play out in all 3 of these shows, and obviously Jonathan Anderson is very heavily influenced by sustainability, so a lot of the leather is reused and reworked throughout the products. The bags were obviously beautiful, stylized versions of the puzzle bag. They were absolutely lovely. And I think that we'll see a lot more people buying into vintage leather, reworked leather, and those sorts of things. And again, like I reiterate, as we get more and more into sustainability and thinking about our consumption. So yeah, I really hope you enjoyed that video, guys. I love talking about these shows. I'm so excited for next month to get some more fashion shows under our belt. So I will definitely be reviewing February Fashion Week shows, hopefully as they come in, as soon as I can get watching them and get seeing them. I'd love to talk about those with you guys. Let me know what you're looking forward to, and let me know what you thought of these shows, and I'll catch you in my next one. Bye guys.